Michelle Kafel is a temp by day and actress by night. And as the performer hustles to make it as an artist in New York City, she often takes a moment to be still and reconnect with God. With the help of her iPhone.
It actually does help me to sort of take time off. And I think that that's really important, that it kind of can bridge that gap between the hustle and bustle craziness and bring you into, hopefully, bring you into a period of silence and reflection.
From apps that let you tweet your favorite Bible verse, to apps that help you face Mecca when you're in a new environment, to apps that teach you to pray the right Hebrew blessings with the right foods, some of the devoted are going digital. As they do, they're beginning to challenge the norms of religious practice. Here, at the Metropolitan Baptist Church in Newark, New Jersey, prayer is a communal act of worship. A well-worn, note-filled Bible is a badge of honor. And the pastor expects an engaged congregation.
Look at a neighbor and say, I've messed up so many times.
It's an environment where live tweeting during services can be a bit conspicuous.
Oh, this was a very good one too. A lot of people want God's blessings, but they don't want God. Seek God first and let the rest fall in place, and then dash my pastor. So always try to credit him.
Coming up on the Wade-O Radio Show.
Wade Harris, who hosts the Christian hip-hop program, the Wade-O Radio Show, says apps enhance his spirituality both inside and outside the four walls of his church, giving him choices. Of the apps he uses, he has one that lets him listen to sermons from different pastors, and another that offers various translations of the Bible with an option to tweet his favorite passages. Mr. Harris considers this ability to share what he's learning as part of his ministry.
Well, one, you don't want to forget it because sometimes it's a direct quote, but two, I also want to show people that it's a lifestyle. I mean, people see the times of these quotes and they're saying, hey, this guy's at church right there. I have a ton of friends on Facebook and Twitter who maybe they don't go to church. You know, I'll send stuff out to people just as a source of encouragement. And plus, two, it's part of my ministry. And it's just another way to connect with people on an ongoing basis.
Rabbi Zalman Goldstein says his iPhone never leaves his side.
What do they say? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and it landed right here.
The rabbi developed iBlessing, an app to help Jews pair the right prayers with the right foods. He says mobile technology can help teach non-observant Jews about Jewish religious traditions in a low-pressure and easily accessible environment.
Melech, or I could reach a Jew somewhere in the other side of the world who probably is not in a Jewish community and maybe lives alone as a single person interested in his Judaism amongst a million people living around him. And he could pick up an iPhone app and he could discover a piece of his spirituality.
Still, while some religious figures embrace technology, others have their reservations. They fear it may encourage congregants to disconnect from their religious community or look to their gadgets rather than to their spiritual leaders or God. Mr. Harris's pastor has adapted to seeing the backlit screens of smartphones, trusting his parishioners are following along with his messages. But his approval comes with a disclaimer.
When we start looking more to the technology than we look to God, then I think we have an issue. And therefore, I think this will be a challenge. I think pastors and I think religious leaders must be on the lookout and make sure that people are not using technology to replace the source, because the source is indeed God.
With the release of Confession, a Roman Catholic app, the Vatican was quick to dispel any concerns that the iPhone could take the place of a priest and absolve the penitent. The app was sanctioned by the church, receiving an imprimatur, the church's license to print religious texts, but fans of the app are encouraged to use it only as an aid for personal reflection.
Of the great banquet, while you're finding your spot in your Bible or on your app.
As mobile technology becomes a growing part of a person's spiritual experience, religion and culture scholar Rachel Wagner says we can expect religions to wrestle with wanting to stay relevant while staying true to their beliefs and traditions.
One of the things that's at stake is how much interactivity is allowed, right? And if you have rituals that are thousands of years old, right, then who's going to decide what kind of interactivity is allowed? And those religious groups that want to stay true to their traditions are going to allow sort of less wiggle room.
The developers of the Confession app admit applying for an imprimatur can slow down programming, but for them, it's worth it.
I don't want my priest to be upset at me, but also it's that, you know, we have some pretty strict guidelines within the Catholic Church, and you have to follow those guidelines. And if you don't, then you're sort of being heretical and you're sharing bad information with everyone, essentially.
It's hard to know how many of these religion-related apps are available. Both Apple and Android's app stores don't currently have a religion category, but a search of faith-related terms show religion apps make up a small percentage of the market. Even so, developers like Mr. Goldstein say they've seen a steady appetite for faith-related apps. And users of his apps can be assured that they're rabbi-approved.
I don't have a congregation of bricks and mortar. I like to see my congregation as a virtual congregation. The hours are definitely easier, and the workload is not as oppressive, but my reach is global. All right.
For the Wall Street Journal, I'm Christina Tsuei.